Well, you think you're in New York City or somewhere? You're listening to the show. Of course, we have, we've always had entertainers on here. We've had physicians. We've had scientists. We've had squirrels. No, I'm kidding. But we have had very interesting people who love animals. And I had a great privilege recently. As many of you know, we were telling you that we had an expo down at Sunny Isles Beach, and I met the nicest people, but probably an outstanding, and I'm going to call them a couple, even though it's a father and daughter. That has really been the nicest thing that happened when I went down to Sunny Isles Beach. I met Biana Pinchuk and her father, Paul Pinchuk. And Biana is no normal child, I must tell you that. She's extraordinary. She is what we always call a child prodigy, but most child prodigies do one thing. They either sing, they dance, they play a violin, or they do something. Oh, no. We have someone that does it all. She's a singer, a violinist, and a composer, and now she's taking acting lessons. So they came up from Sunny Isles Beach this morning, long trip, to be here with you, our audience, because you know how much I love all of you and how we want to bring you the nicest things. So I want to welcome you, Biana.
Hi, nice to be
here. And Paul.
Good morning.
You know, while you were out of the room, I was talking to your daughter about it must be very nice to have a father taking you all around. And because and she was just telling me for so long, of course, you were very busy working as you do, and she didn't get to spend much time with you when you all lived in New York. You know, you went to this work and then that work, and then she never got to see you. But now she's overwhelmed with you.
Yeah, there's a lot of me.
There's a lot of you, and you're so special, and the way you treat her, and the way, I just see the friendship in both of you, as well, of course, as being her father. But Biana, when did you notice, at what age, maybe you didn't even know how old you were, that you had something special?
Well, actually, I did a bunch of I think it was at my cousin's birthday party for her husband. So she had this karaoke machine, and everyone was singing, and my grandparents were like, you should take her to singing lessons, because I got a good voice. And then my parents were like, oh no, everyone thinks their grandkids are like the most amazing kids ever. So they finally agreed to take me, and we actually went to my violin teacher. She, a friend of hers was here from Moscow, and she was here with her husband trying to get a doctorate for teaching and singing. And we went over there, and we just started taking lessons. And she was actually an opera person, so that's how I got into opera.
And so, your family, they are Russian?
Yes.
And so you almost, it's funny, I'm going to say this, my family's Hungarian, and they almost expected to have a musician somewhere because, music's very important, especially to a lot of people living in Europe, and it just seems like it's the tradition. But here you are, you're young, and what age actually were you when they recognized that you just didn't have a la-la voice?
I was about 4 or 5, I think. At around that same age, I guess, I started playing violin. And I was supposed to play the piano. My mom she took me to this music school in New York. And she was like, we're here.
Where you were living, right, in New York?
We're here for the piano thing. And I said no, because I was a big Hannah Montana fan back then. And there was this episode where there was a pink violin. And I was like, Mom, I want a pink violin. I'm going to play the violin. I never got a pink violin, but I didn't get to play the violin.
Well, but let's go back to the violin. Let's forget about the singing then. Who gave you a violin to start playing?
Well, we went to the store, and we bought it just after I said I wanted to play it, and I refused to go to the piano lesson.
But I mean, wait a minute. So you're now very young. You're 5. And you decide you want a violin, and your mother takes you to the store, and you have never played it. Your father didn't play it. Your mother didn't play it.
Well, my great-grandfather played it, played 13 instruments, actually. And my grandfather, this is on my mom's side, he started playing the violin, but stopped because of, like, I don't know, wars, I guess. So there wasn't enough money to, like, take him to lessons, so they stopped doing that. But my mom was like, okay, let's start doing it.
The spirit was there. It was just carrying through, waiting for someone to do something. So you decided you want to play the violin. Okay, so they don't get you a pink violin, but you go in there and you get, a simple violin, nothing really special. Okay, now what happens?
Then I start taking lessons in New York, and I wasn't really lucky with my first teacher, I guess, because I played Twinkle Twinkle Little Star for 6 months, and I didn't get to play anything else. And then, I don't remember how, but we came across this other teacher. Her name was Leah in New York, and I guess she taught me a little bit, but the technique wasn't really right. And when we lived in New York, we had like an apartment in Florida we used to go just like on vacation. And there was this, my teacher now currently, everyone thought it was like impossible to contact him because he had like shows, but like not that big shows, but back then, I guess. So we talked to him, and he agreed to have a lesson with me, and he basically just, I guess, made my technique. And I went back to New York and kind of just ruined it a little bit. And the reason we decided to move to Florida was because I was getting sick a lot, because my immune system over there was just like crashing, I guess. And so we moved here to Florida, and all of that went away. And this new violin teacher was just, I've had him since I was like 6.
And you knew, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but when you had that violin up underneath your neck and you were playing, were you somewhere else in your brain?
Well, as a child, I think it's harder to do that, I guess. As you grow older, it's easier to express yourself, because I was really shy. I remember one time a relative came and they asked me to sing something. So this was in New York, and my grandma, she had this like bathroom next to the kitchen. So, and they were sitting in the dining room. So I went into the bathroom and I took a CD player with me, and I sang The Sound of Music, the Do Re Mi song.
So you've really been, how would I say this? You've kind of been destined. It sounds to me like a destiny that this is going to be your life's work, because as you started to grow up, you realized you had a great talent. And as the better people started telling you, you've won contests. And of course, your father is very smart, and he saw it too. And your mother, of course. And I'm going to talk to your father in a minute, but I just wanted everybody to hear you. And unfortunately, it's very early in the morning, and we can't have her play the violin. She didn't bring it with her. And I don't know how you sing early in the morning. It's probably not possible. It was not good, is it?
Yeah.
It's not hard. It's too hard,
The
I'm sure.
earliest I've sang was 8 in the morning. That was because, I had to. We got flown out to Italy to perform, and obviously you can't say no to that.
Of course.
So we went there, and there were 2 events. One was really early in the morning, and we had to be there by 7 and do like a run through. It was me, 2 dancers, and a piano player, and they took them from America. The dancers were from Philadelphia, and the piano player was from Ohio. So it was just, they put a bunch of kids together, and then there was a gala the next day at night. So it was constantly like practicing and rehearsals. But the good thing was that they gave you some freedom too, so you could go and like explore Italy.
Good. That's good. But you went there, and they invited you there because they were so impressed.
Yeah, it was actually like a competition. I remember, so this small agent in New York, the big agents, they give the small agents work and they to look for the people, right? So this big agency, Abrams Artist, so they sent out like a general thing, I guess. And the small agent, so she found me online and she contacted my dad. I remember like all the time she was emailing like we're 50% there, 50% there, 60%, 80%, 99% sure that she's gonna get it. And then finally we get a call. They're like, okay, what tickets do you want? So we ordered the tickets. And yeah, it was just awesome.
Yeah, and it is wonderful to have you at 13 talking about what's really going to happen in your life. When you're, excuse me, when you're 20, you look back on this, but it's beautiful. It's such purity. It's such a lovely thing to have someone like you who really appreciates what you do. You work hard at it. It's not casual. I know you have to practice. But we haven't really talked about something that really impressed me. Your dad told me, and I'm going to get to you, Paul, in a minute, but I'm so enchanted with your daughter, that you can sing in different languages. Would you explain how that happens? We'll just tell people what you can do with the singing.
Well, I guess I have good pronunciation skills. I don't know. But like obviously my singing teacher, the hardest one for me was French to try to sing in, but I sing in English, Spanish, Italian, French, Latin,
Russian, I would think.
And Russian and Hebrew.
And can you speak in those languages too, or do you just sing in them?
Well, I can speak Russian and English, but I can't speak the other languages. I could understand like small words just of Spanish because of like school, Spanish class. But it's just I learn the words and I learn the main idea of the song so I know what I'm talking about. And
I would say it's a unique ability. Would you not say that? I mean, I've never heard of this before, but maybe because I'm not in the music business, but I think it's extraordinary, and it's a wonderful tool that you have now. We don't have really your tape. I don't think we brought a tape, but do we have a tape of a music? No. So we're at a little bit unfair advantage, but that's not true because we are going to feature Biana in our magazine. We'll put her on the cover and we'll do a write-up, and then I'm going to get something from you, a tape or something, and we'll play that. We probably should have done that, and I was so excited about having you come, I didn't do it. So people have to take our word. So, Paul, I'm going to let you jump in.
Sure.
How does it feel to have a child, a young lady now, who is extraordinary? I mean, you're right. Everyone thinks their kid's extraordinary, but this is not play games for you. This child is extraordinary, and we look forward to seeing her as a world champion.
She's our secret weapon, as I call it, because people see her that she's cute, and she walks in, she smiles at them, and I think just like when we met you the first time, you were very, oh my God, you're so cute, what are you going to do for us? And I said, she's going to sing an opera song, and you said, okay. And I saw in your face, you were like, okay, yeah, she's going to sing an opera song. And then I think after her performance in Sunny Isles, you were
blown away.
And that's what's happened to us over and over again. And she's actually doing some really fantastic things for the community. Like she's doing her school tour. And what she's doing is she's introducing opera to students, and she's done a bunch of schools. She just did one in Aventura.
Yeah, on Saturday, I think. No. Tuesday.
Yeah, exactly. But she's done other schools. She's going to be doing another school on the 26th. And because it's a medium that kids aren't listening to, and it's really just, I think you'll agree that it's just beautiful music.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so can you imagine, you don't know this, but at one point I was very involved with an organization called Young Audiences. I brought it down here to South Florida because we needed to get music and opera and theater into the schools. Now it's very common, but at the time You had to go to a place. And what you're doing now is somewhere in that audience, some little kid like you were many years ago hears this. And all of a sudden they say, I can do that. Just by your attending and you're singing or you're playing the violin, you are now a spirit for these other kids. It's a beautiful thing that you're doing this because now you're sharing your talent. But let's keep going with her talent. Tell me if you could wave a magic wand, what you would like to see Biana. And by the way, I'm going to spell her name. Biana. Last name is Pinchuk. Pinchuk. Her father is Paul Pinchuk. They live in Sunny Isles Beach, and she does have a mother. Her mother just isn't here with us because I have always just seen you with Biana. All right, so you've had a little time to answer, to think about what I just said. What is it that you want to see for your beautiful daughter?
Well, I guess as a parent, we all want the best for our kids, obviously. And my goal for her is to be, I really see like a Celine Dion or Barbara Streisand. I think that she's just so extraordinarily talented that as a parent, it's my duty almost, like, to try to promote that, because you just don't see a child every day that can have the talents that she does. And what I find amazing personally is that she's able to be a straight A student in advanced classes. She does a lot of events, and she does a lot of 45 and 60-minute solo shows, which is another feat in itself for a 13-year-old, because I don't know how many 13-year-olds your audience knows that can do that, that can do a solo. There are adults that can't. And yet she's got a social life. She has friends. She goes to parties with her friends. She does some sleepovers. She just had one. And she's just an all-around good kid. And she's done stuff for Cancer Society. She's involved. Kids is a really important thing for her. So I'm just basically just going on a trip. I'm basically like the taxi driver. That's how I feel. Where am I driving? I'm waiting for her to get a driver's license so I don't have to deal with that.
Well, in listening to you, if you asked me, I'll tell you, besides her great talent, superb, unbelievable, I've described her as very humble. I've described her as a very gentle soul whom I met, because when you have that kind of talent, sometimes it makes a person different in a negative way, that they say, well, I'm so much better than you and I don't have to be so nice. But that's what has really stood out for me, that she is just such a lovely young woman that if she had no talent, I would be attracted to her as a child, person.
You're exactly on the nose. I mean, she's, besides being humble and just a fantastic human being, she's one of these people where if I wouldn't say, oh, she can do X, Y, Z, if you met her socially or whatever, she would never tell you that she does all these things. She just doesn't, it's become such, I guess, a normal thing for her, because she's grown up through doing events and things, that it's like second nature. It's like getting for her on stage, people freak out and start shaking, and for her it's like normal thing. There's no sense of nervousness or anything. It's just normal. But she's not a big advertising. Dad is the one who does all the advertising, it seems like. She's much more humble.
It's wonderful. Now, you talked about Biana, you said young talent, big dreams, the Child's Trust. You just won that?
Yeah, last year. I won the same competition, but for vocal, when I was 8 years old, and I was so scared because everyone there was like 18 at that time, because it was only the first year of the competition, and I was like, I'm never gonna win. And then my dad was still in New York at that time. No, he was just on a trip to New York. So I was there with my mom, and my mom's like, she's scared she's not gonna win, but we're probably gonna leave early because she's probably not gonna win because all these 18-year-olds are here. And then they're like, everybody please stay. Please don't leave so we can say the results, right? And then I was just so shocked that I won. And then I did the same competition last year, but for violin.
So that brings up another question for me. So now you may have to choose. As you grow older, you may have to choose. Is it you want to be a famous violinist or do you want to be a famous opera star? How will you do that? You may not be able to do both. I mean, you can do them, but you have to make a choice. Do you think so?
I think the most important thing to me is doing both, because I feel like if I don't do both, then that just makes me like everybody else.
I see. That's a good point. So it's very possible as you're singing opera. Well, no, but I understand. So you could become, singing at the Met and then go and playing the violin at Carnegie Hall, huh? Is that something in your mind? Do you see yourself doing that in the future?
I kind of wanted to be like, not exactly like in an opera, I guess, but just as a solo performer.
Like Pavarotti.
I guess.
Besides being in the opera, he was there as the performer.
But like, I don't only sing opera, so I could just do, because I'm called a classical crossover, so I do sing a lot of opera, but I could sing like everything else. So that's what I like, so that there's kind of a variety. So if I'm like bored of opera one day, I could just be like, I could switch it out, and then the next day I could put it back in.
That's fabulous. And one thing, if it's my favorite, of course, Phantom of the Opera is my very most favorite music. But hitting that high note, and I heard you do that. You did a little bit of that at Sunny Isles Beach. I mean, what are you thinking when you're doing it? You're just hoping it comes out? I mean, aren't you, you're waiting for that, we're all waiting as we're listening, and all of a sudden you hit it. It just comes, right? You open your mouth and it just comes. See, I'm not a singer, so I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I guess it's that way. I kind of tried to like figure it out, like how do we know how to make the pitch of the sound? And I still don't know. But I guess it does come. I mean, obviously you need like support in your diaphragm, and you need to be breathing right, because then you'll run out of air. Phantom of the Opera, I can't really sing it right now until like 16 or 17, because you go through like a voice change and you don't want to like pressure your voice too much. So a lot of my repertoire has just been like cut down a bit because I can't sing those songs now. But in the future, yes. Last year I still did that song. But this year, my vocal coach told me to like step away from them.
Interesting, because it's pushing it when it shouldn't be pushed yet, so you don't want to ruin it when you really can do it. So are we going to see you in a Broadway show?
Maybe.
She was a finalist for a Broadway show. She was a finalist for Annie on Broadway. She was one of the last 11 kids out of 23,000.
Yeah.
But you don't have red hair.
Well, I mean, they
I'm
could
kidding.
always put on a wig.
Of course,
and
I'm
dye.
kidding. But so you are rehearsing, now you are trying to get into some Broadway shows if you can, and if that happened, you'd have to move to New York, I have to assume. And you'd have to, well, what would you do?
I guess in some situations, sometimes it's a tour, a Broadway tour. Then you just have to like be on the bus, I guess. But sometimes, if you actually do that, I guess we just like rent an apartment or something.
Well, it's a hard job. And talk about how you fit.
And sometimes they provide housing, but like sometimes they provide housing.
Yeah, well, they should provide everything for you. I don't want to run out of time. We probably have close to maybe about 4 minutes left. But so how do you, your father was saying that, of course, you're an A+ student. How are you able to find time to do all these things? Are you very well organized?
Well, my school is actually, we have a class. Bless you. We have a class where we can do our homework. I guess it's kind of like a study hall, but it's called 7th period critical thinking. And we have 20 minutes to do our homework. And my school also has like it's weird. It's like a no homework policy because we do most of our homework in school.
Good.
So otherwise than like essays, we just do everything at school. Like obviously you have to write your essays at home, and in English we had to write a fable. So yeah.
Well, I certainly want to stay in your life somehow because I feel that I've been very privileged to know someone like you because of your talent and who you are. And I think you can be a role model for many, many other kids who need people like you in their life, that they don't have to get high on drugs. They don't have to do things that are, not really socially acceptable. And so I think you do have a great responsibility in a way, and I wish you so much good fortune. You just keep doing what you're doing. And Paul, I admire you so much for realizing that you have a unique child and that you're giving her every opportunity to make these things happen for her. Someday I'm going to meet your wife because she, of course, bore this wonderful child, and she's a part of it. I'm glad she's home sleeping this morning. So we're going to say thank you very much, and we are going to feature you, do a nice article, and I'm sure we'll have you back, and maybe we'll have you back
Thank you.
during the day so that we can have you actually sing on the show, but that's okay. Everyone will be hearing you, and I know our wonderful Rich is going to play something now, so